Hello and welcome to the Art of Forgiveness, Freedoms with Benefits. My name's Emma and thank you so much for joining us for this free 30-minute webinar. Today I promise to show you why the communication system in the body is vital for good health, how forgiveness can change your health for the better, and of course the 5 steps of forgiveness. Now, you are in the right place. If you are suffering from depression, anxiety, maybe you're not sleeping well, you might have a sore back, shoulder, or knee or foot. You're struggling to release the weight that you actually want to release, or maybe you just want to shift to a whole new place because everything's gone a little bit stale. Well, you're in the right place. You're in the right place if proactively taking care of your health is really important to you. You're in the right place if you want change. You're in the right place if you are open to whole new ideas and a different approach to health. And you're in the right place, of course, if you are ready to forgive and to change your health. I want to share with you 3 truths. Firstly, it's never too late. Today is a new day. The future is not ahead of you. The future's inside of you. You are the instigator of your future. And of course, that everything and anything is achievable when you have the right tools and strategies to work with. And that's where we come in. So I'd like to introduce you to your team. Myself, Emma Manning, I'm the one in the red, and my beautiful mentor, my business partner, my friend, Pam Siddons, who's there in the blue. And so we are together Best Studio. And Best Studio is what we do is together we integrate mind, body, and spirit, and we release interference, which prevents you from achieving your optimal well-being. And we do this from Sippy Downs, which is in the Sunshine Coast. We're available in our office, we're home, and of course, as you are here, we're also online. And we are just a beautiful synergy. I love working with Pam, and you'll meet Pam as we go along the way. And one more thing, I just want to promise to you that you will receive the 5 steps in this free webinar. So you need to just keep tuned. Make sure that you've got your ebook printed out. Make sure that you have a pen. If you don't, hit pause at this point. Go grab those things because you're going to need to make notes. We can't remember everything, and this might be a whole new way of learning and thinking, which is great because we're all about change. I want to start with asking yourself this question. What does forgiveness mean to you? And I want you to take a couple of moments just to think of a few words that really will resonate and bring home what forgiveness really is about. Because when we've got a starting point, it's easier to move through to the next stage. It's easier to move and see what your end result is. So what is it that forgiveness means to you? Take a moment, open your ebook and write that down. To look further at the concept of forgiveness, we need to start at the beginning to gain a deeper understanding of what exactly is influenced by forgiving. And we start at the communication system within you. Every living creature or plant has a field that surrounds their system. I'll call it the energy field. This field surrounds every cell and contains all the information to affect your physical body. Once upon a time, you were 1 cell old, and all that cell contained the information to build an entire human being. This field is perfect so that the cells communicate with and respond to each other. This field can also contain interference, which may stop perfect communication within the physical body, and it allows sickness to develop. Forgiveness is one of the processes that removes the interference from the field, encouraging health to return. How do these thoughts affect changes in your body? How is this, how does it work? You'll see on your screen in front of you a lemon. Now, making sure that you're sitting comfortably. This is where you participate, okay? I'm going to get you to close your eyes. So make sure that you're sitting somewhere stable and that you're quite safe to do so. And when you're ready, I just want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that it was a very hot summer's day. And boy, you're so thirsty. You're so thirsty. As you walk into your kitchen and you open up your refrigerator, and in there is a lemon, and it's glistening and it's got the condensation on it and it's vibrant. You pick up this lemon, you can smell the citrus, it's delicious. Closing the refrigerator, you go over to the work surface, you place that lemon down on a board. Grabbing a knife, you just cut that lemon into half, and then you cut it into quarters, and you can see the juice literally oozing out all over the knife and the board. You pick up that lemon, very gently placing it into your mouth, and squeeze and suck on that lemon. Now stop. I want you to pay attention now to what is happening in your mouth. Gently opening your eyes. Now most of us will find that we have some saliva buildup, right? We've got a little bit of extra saliva going on there. What's actually happening is the salivary glands are now starting to produce enough moisture and enzymes in order to be able to swallow whatever is in your mouth and digest. But guess what? There's no lemon. We know there's no lemon. This is a perfect example of how by thinking something, you have affected a physical and chemical reaction in your body that is real. Your brain has decided, as treated what you are thinking as a real-time experience, and it's getting ready to digest that lemon juice. Now I want you to think of a time when something or someone upset you. Like maybe, and I'm using this as an example, we were on the motorway and you're driving along the motorway and somebody just cuts in front of you, you have to slam your brakes on. It was all very dangerous. They're trying to take the exit and away they go. And now I want you to now start to pay attention. And when you really go back there, what's happening in your body? I mean, I can tell you now, just by remembering the time on the motorway, my shoulders are tensed up a little bit. I can feel kind of that knot in my stomach, this annoyance. My jaw's gone a little bit tight. Now, obviously, I'm sitting here chatting with you guys. I'm not sitting in my car. But every time I go down that memory lane and remember a time that I've been cut up, I can have that physical feeling that I know that my body is making adjustments in order to brace and to basically either fight the bear or to run away. So what actually happens in our body every time we get upset? I want to talk to you a little bit now about how our thoughts affect us physically and chemically. Now, this is about as sciencey as it's going to get, so just bear with me. It's not massively science, but I'm going to talk about the nervous system. Now, we basically feed the information from the brain to make the body work, and it runs your whole system. And one part of this nervous system is called the parasympathetic and sympathetic response. Now, as you can see from your screen, it's like a seesaw. When the parasympathetic response is in play, the sympathetic response disengages and so forth. And we basically swing through going into a parasympathetic response and a sympathetic response, depending on what's happening in that very moment. And specifically depending on how we're thinking. Now, the parasympathetic is it's kind of like your housekeeping. It's your relax mode. It's your healing mode. Your sympathetic response is your fight and flight response. Okay, that's your survival mode. Now, when we're in fight and fright mode, our sympathetic response engages. Now, when your sympathetic response engages, this is a very high intense response. It's vital for life. It ensures your survival. You know, if I was, you know, sort of stepping out off the pavement in front of a car, then the fight, fright, flight response is exactly appropriate. It will make sure that my eyesight is heightened, my hearing is heightened, that I have you know, the right hormones in order to release the sugars from my muscles so that I can run and jump out the way. My breath gets very shallow as I'm pushing all the oxygen around my body so that we can you know, the tissues and the response is immediately, but it's quite a big response and it's very intense, and we're designed to only be in that response for a very short time. You know, when you're in sympathetic response, you're not digesting your food, you're not, your immune system is set down because the main thing is to get you out of danger. And then when you're out of danger, that sympathetic response should naturally disengage and you go back into sort of breathing nicely with parasympathetic. So the sympathetic dominance is really there to save your life. Like I said, it's a short duration but a high intensity reaction. And what happens is when we've got stuff going on in our minds, quite often we're in sympathetic mode for far too long. And when we do, we get that stressed, tense feeling. Now, when we're in sympathetic mode for far too long, and our immune system is being stood down because it's, you know, we're trying to fight the bear, we're not in repair mode, quite often it can start affecting our health, affecting how we eat, affecting how we sleep, and eventually, if we're not getting all the goodness and the rest and the recovery, it can quite often lead to you know, something bigger, like not feeling so well. You know, when we're in that sympathetic dominance and we're unable to relax, you know, there's the lifestyle choices come in. Maybe we might, you know, we're not getting the proper sleep of the night. So let's say we're getting up and we need that extra cup of coffee in the morning to keep us going, or we're getting home of the night and we're finding that we're not being able to relax and switch off. So we're having maybe an extra beer or a couple of glasses of wine. So we can always chemically, we can use the chemicals to physically try and relax. But obviously that's going to have a detrimental effect on health if we don't naturally start to be able to switch off. And quite often we don't know why we're switched on for so long. And this sympathetic nervous system is just going into a dominant effect. When we need to rest and recover, our body system moves into something called parasympathetic. Now, parasympathetic is like a healing. It's a very low-level response. It's meant to be for where the majority of our time is. That's the aim, is to be in this state. When you're in parasympathetic, you digest your food beautifully. Your immune system has a chance to repair on a cellular level. You can breathe deeply, and you can switch off, and you get that sleep. So the parasympathetic nervous system is something that we aim for so that we can our body can keep regenerating. So sympathetic response is a survival mode. Parasympathetic response is healing mode, is repair mode. If we're not in repair mode, we're just surviving. And if we're surviving, we can't repair. And you can see how diseases and illnesses can start to build up because we get run down. So what is it? Why do we get annoyed? Why is it that we run things over in our mind over and over as if we were actually experiencing it? Remember the lemon story, we're experiencing it firsthand here. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your belief system. Now, we all have a belief system. We all live our life according to specific beliefs, things that we deem as true. Now, the belief system is usually established from a very, very young age. It's established from influences that kind of predetermine, if you like, a rule book. It's a rule book that we all have, that we all decide how we should behave, how we should think, and what we think is right in life. And that rule book is, you know, as I say, it's built from a very early age. It's from influences. It could be from a parent. It could be from a carer. It could be from a school teacher. It could be from, you know, sort of a church leader, people who are important to us and helping us form from young people into adults. And this rule book is fine because it determines how we behave. But what we end up doing is deciding from our rule book, our belief system, how everybody else should behave. They have their own rule book, so they live by a different set of rules to us. And when that happens, we start getting annoyed with other people because we think that they should be doing it a certain way. I honestly believed on the motorway that that person shouldn't have cut so quickly in front of me. And just as an example, his rule book might have said that if he was late for an appointment or he had a life-death situation he had to get to, it was perfectly okay on that one occasion to zip past very quickly. But that was his rule book. My rule book's slightly different. When we decide how someone should be acting, we are judging them. And you say, I don't judge, I evaluate. If you are comparing what you believe in, a belief you may have, and comparing that to how someone is behaving or a situation you are experiencing is either right or wrong compared to your rule book, you are judging. Examples: you shouldn't speak to people like that. You shouldn't put something there. You should always stand up if a lady's present. These are all beliefs that we are then imposing on other people. And when we start thinking something and thinking that something is right or wrong, that's when we start going into that sympathy. So when we're in judgment, we know that what we end up doing is deciding whether someone is right or wrong. When we're deciding when someone is right and wrong, what we're doing is we're pushing our body into that sympathetic survival response. We're getting ourselves very worked up. When it's in survival mode, the body cannot heal up properly because it's too busy surviving and fighting the bear. Your thoughts, you choose. How you think determines if you move towards or away from good health. How you're thinking about a situation when you're in judgment, you're moving towards stress, sickness, disease. When you're thinking good thoughts about people and standing in a space of gratitude and happiness, you're moving towards health, happiness, and towards a longer life. So where does forgiveness fit into this particular picture? The purpose of forgiveness is to minimize or remove any interference stored in the energy field, and then you can upgrade the experience to something worthwhile. Forgiveness is so important. Once you have decided that you want to forgive a situation or a person, the situation no longer controls your future health and your future decisions. You live and respond to today instead of the past. You're not constantly going back into that thought process, constantly pushing your body into that fight-flight. Instead, you've released it. And that's the big difference, is it's not just about getting over something, it's releasing it and being free of it. So now we're going to run through the 5 steps of forgiveness. Step 1, forgive yourself. You start with you. You're the most important person here. You're in the situation whether you asked for it or not, whether you wanted to be part of the situation or not, you are there, so you need to forgive yourself for that. Quite often we're harder on ourselves than we ever are on anybody else. Step 2, which is usually the step people just go to, it's the only part of forgiveness, but it's a very important part. Forgive the other person. That's your second step. The second step is to make sure that you actually genuinely go into your heart and you make a forgiveness gesture towards the other person. Step 3, give the other person permission to forgive you. Step 3 can be a little bit tricky. However, when you put yourself in the other person's shoes, you can really see something about yourself. Quite often, you were involved somewhere along the line. You give the other person permission to forgive you. However, at this point, I must point out, you do not have to now pick up the phone or send a text or get in touch with somebody to do this. This is between you and yourself. When you have gone through those 3 steps, and I know they're tough, I'm not going to suggest that this is easy. But once you have hit past step 3, you can really see forgiveness starting to form. The 4th step is then to learn the lesson. Life gives us these situations usually for whatever reason we need to know something. When you sit down and learn the lesson, you will see the good in the situation. That's not necessarily saying that the situation is good or bad. I'm not here to judge. But you will see something about your life would have got better once you know what you needed to know from the experience that you are dealing with, the experience or the person. So step 4, learn the lesson, see the good in the situation. Step 5, give thanks. Be thankful for the situation and the lesson it taught you, and wish everybody well. When you are in a place that you can actually wish everybody just a happy life, true release and forgiveness becomes incredibly powerful. So they are the 5 steps of forgiveness. So why are you even here listening to this? Well, you're here because your health is vitally important to you. Change is important to you. Maybe you want a new approach, because new approaches make different outcomes, and we want a different outcome. You're ready to forgive. You know, we can go through the 5 steps over and over, but if you really aren't in that space where you are ready to actually make that change and forgive, you're going to be going through the steps over and over for a long time. You've got to mentally decide, do I want to be in that fight flight? Do I want to get sick over this, or do I want to make a change so that I feel better? Remember, forgiveness is not about anyone else, it's about you. And you're ready then to change your health and your life. You know, my goal today was to gift you the 5 steps so that you can use these and apply these to situations to release that interference. When the communication system isn't working well within the energy field, you know, that's when we start really hitting those stumbling blocks. When you forgive, you in no way change the past. You really don't. We're not asking you to change the past, but you can change the future. Your future is within you. It's not ahead of you. You're the instigator in your life. Look, thank you so much for joining me for the 5 steps of forgiveness. You know, and I don't want to just stop here. I want to help move through the 5 steps at a whole new level so that you really can get the full benefit of that release. So I just wanted to share a little bit more about what I do. Okay, so this is Dr. Kathy Murray. And Dr. Kathy has given me permission to share a little bit about the outcomes that she's found with us working together for the last 4 months. Like, she's noticed real changes and shifts in energy, attitude, and health. She's learned how to morning march. She feels stronger, more empowered, and you know, she's just really embracing how to be the best version of herself. And Deborah Martina from True Alignment Services. Now, Deborah's actually attended the webinar and has gone through the process. And I just wanted to share a little bit about what she has to say.
Wow, the art of forgiveness. My name is Deborah, and I have just completed the art of forgiveness with Emma Manning. Let me tell you this. We all know that forgiveness is very healing, but it can be sometimes really hard to do. This process with Alma was so gentle and caring, but it was so extremely powerful too. For me, step 3 was something that empowered the whole process. And many other processes helped me lock that in so that I had total healing on this. And it came fast, and it became deep within me. And I have been able to release so much unforgiveness just in this last little while. I know that if I need to, I can come back to that process and all of these processes again if I need to. This is such a powerful journey. I hope everybody jumps on board and has a look at it and just see how it can help you in this future. Thanks for now.
I want to offer you today the ability to continue to work on the 5 steps of forgiveness and upgrade for our full 4-week live workshop. So just click below and we can get you registered straight away. So what else will I receive as part of our membership? Well, you get access to Pam and myself, and I promise to be with you live. I can guarantee this. I'm dedicated to you having the best experience so you can apply these steps and make those changes to your life. The live training, you will have access to that video once the live training has happened as well. You know, we really want you to be able to take this and have this as a course that you can go back to time and time again. You also get access to much more time spent on each of the 5 steps for further clarification on how to tackle each stage, one step at a time. Now, straight after you have completed your 4-week training, this is week 1, you will book in to have a 30-minute phone call to a registered qualified bioenergetic synchronization technique practitioner to talk through concerns and questions. Look, this is a really important part. You know, I know that we're dealing with things that are actually quite, difficult, emotional, tough sometimes. So we want to make sure that all your questions, concerns are covered and that you do have that 30-minute conversation with us on the phone. You'll also have access to heaps more information, heaps more. I've got so much to share with you. You're going to delve deeper into the 5 steps, but we're going to include a 3 pre-forgiveness stage to unlock the underlying emotions and reasonings behind the issue that you want to apply forgiveness to. This is so important. It's getting to root cause. So by going through these 3 pre-forgiveness stages, you really can delve further into kind of understanding on how to apply that lesson, on how to give permission to somebody else. You'll also have access to live training on how to reprogram old patterns through a unique neurological exercise called the Water March. This is a usable technique you can utilize, you can apply to take charge of how you're feeling, that heightened response, stand down that fight-flight response and fast. You'll also get lifelong membership to a community group. And this is a private community group on Facebook that is going to help you support, gain information and get some friendship. When you're going through a big change, it's essential to success to be supported, and then you can support others as they walk along their journey. And this lifelong membership, this Facebook group, is an integral part of this training. Only people who have signed up for the whole session are going to be able to be in there, where Pam and I will be doing live videos with you. There will be live question and answers, so you can actually jump on and go, well, hey, I'm really struggling with this, what do I need to do? It's a really, really important part of this. We want to support you as you're making those changes. As well as all this, you're going to get guidance strategies to move yourself into a whole new healthier lifestyle through the 6 essentials of life. We're going to look at what you eat, how you hydrate, how you exercise, how you rest, and most importantly, how you think. We're going to have some downloadable PDFs, you know, all this stuff that you can actually keep. You're going to have live videos, you're going to have paperwork, you've got a workbook that covers a much more in-depth workbook for you to work from. And you can keep all this, you know, so you can refer back and print out the PDF again and watch the videos again as you work through challenges that you wish to address. Register right now, as I said, special price, only $155. You can just pay that off, or you can do it 4 weekly payments of $38.75 each week. We have an online, it's very quick and easy and secure. You just type your details in. They are secure, and we will then facilitate and get that email out to you. We've really tried to be as flexible as possible, and I understand sometimes $155 might not be available straight away. What we have done is given you 4 payments of $38.75, which is just payable 24 hours before the next webinar, but on a weekly basis. And then you just get all the information and you keep that. So click below to register, because remembering, when you forgive, you heal. When you let go, you grow. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you on webinar number 2.